I'd like to say, first of all, that this little ceremony has evolved from something which was about as simple as it will be today. It evolved from a sense that it would be good to welcome children and their parents kind of formally as members of our community. And especially that became something we wanted to do after we discovered that we were actually good people. and that the community at large was quite kind and all, and so then we started thinking like we wanted to do that, and then parents and children also became part of that decision and the evolution that's occurred so far, which isn't very much. I think this is the third time, maybe. Does that sound right? Yeah, four, maybe. Yeah, and I think that we should do it consistently every, maybe once a year. In the beginning, it was for infants, and then it grew from that, and then we were having young teenagers and all. Of course, they were all born, so it was okay. So our ceremony goes something like this. First, I want to say a few things more about the importance of this ceremony, and then the ceremony itself is simple, and I'll explain it now rather than on the fly, so that when we start we can just kind of move through it. The underlying reason for having a ceremony and welcoming, kind of celebrating people coming together in this community is not so much specifically about this community, but it's about connection and knowing what the difference is between really helpful, positive connections and not so helpful, negative connections. So those connections which are positive, which I think I hold the assumption that everyone who is here, we are interested in forming connections that are positive with each other. And so we start this then with our children at an early date. Like, connections define your life. Your relationships define your life and what you do with them. So we normally think of connections as being things like, I see somebody, I talk to them, I go to lunch with them, or I have them over, or we have a slumber party or something, and so connections are formed. And indeed they are formed. But we actually take it another step here, speaking now for the parents, but if the children relate to it, great. That is that we think that every last thing that we do in relationship to any other being or all beings impacts that relationship, that connection. So for example, if I think here that you are all inherently Buddhas, and the only issue is that you don't know that, then that affects my relationship with you. You might think, well, it doesn't affect you, it just affects me because I had that thought. But we hold it to be the case that if I think about you, you are affected, and we are connected by virtue of that thinking. So back, I believe it was in 2001, our teacher at that time we went to see in India, and his name was Boka Rinpoche. He died in 2004. But many of us had really strong connection with him, and so we did many things. We gave many things, and he offered us many things. And so even now, though he's gone, we still have an enormous connection to him. We do things. We have ceremonies that include him. We think about him. We invoke his presence and his wisdom when we have issues that we need to deal with. And he's not the only one, just as an example. And so during the time in 2001, which was a difficult year, if you'll recall, and many people didn't want to fly to India, and so there were a few people who didn't come, but he was very impressed by the people who were willing to get in an airplane at that time and fly around the world to go and meet. So one of the things that I got from him was this: it's a crystal mala, kind of like what the Catholics use, but slightly different. And so I want to use this mala in today's ceremony as a means of expressing an implied and a nurtured connection that we all have by coming here together today. So what we want to nurture in ourselves is a sense of kindness. And as children especially, we nurture that sense of kindness first with those individuals who are kind to us. When someone is kind to us, we feel happy and we reciprocate. We don't need to know the word kindness or anything about it. It's spontaneous and it's organic. So we want to nurture that and encourage it. So this morning, that's what we're going to do. And following the ceremony, which I'll skip ahead now to, each family, each child, or each parent, however you want to call that, you will get a certificate. You are an official member of KCC. And there's no obligation. We have the obligation. And that certificate, then after the ceremony, I would like each of the parents to come and write the name of their child. Each child will get a certificate. Write the name in there. I will sign that certificate and seal it. So when things are really bad, 30 years from now, and it's in some drawer, and you open it up, you will find that certificate, and you will think to yourself, this is what I need to do. I need to find this place again. See, we're not going to be here in 30 years. So keeping touch and relying upon these things is often triggered by a piece of paper that says, remember this, and then you go and do it. So after this ceremony, if the parents would please just stay long enough to write your name, the name of the child, on the certificate, and I will sign it and seal it, and you can have it. So, in our tradition, there are many ways in which we can express our kindness and our intention for kindness, and one of them is the recitation of a mantra by, it's called Chenrezi's mantra. It's just 6 syllables, and it can be sung as a group in such a way that it actually is inspiring, especially for each of the children. If you think that when I sing this melody, all of the beings that I think of receive a sense of kindness and gentleness and encouragement just by singing this song, even if they're not here. And later on in your life, you can figure this out a little more, but for now, this is what we're going with. So we are going to sing this mantra. Even people like me can sing the mantra, which is proof that every one of you should be heard. And while we're singing it, I will walk around the room, and the children especially, but the adults too. We will, you will please just hold this while I hold it, and move your fingers over the beads for like just, 15 seconds each somehow. There isn't time to do too much more, but it's enough. And think, this is one of the ways we create positive connections. There's even ceremonies in Tibet where they do this sort of thing, more elaborate of course, where you share the holding of the mala and you do this together, and we'll do a simple version of that today. So we'll start, and I'll go this way around the entire room, and especially to capture all of the children in this, please. And then we'll be done. And Mary, take us home.
Om Mani Padme Hum. 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 Om Mani Padme Hum.
So now I think you need to not think that this is a unique situation, but that each time that you come and meditate with us or join the children's program, that you are being welcomed again. And each time you think about it, you are being welcomed again. And we, of course, hope that we see you over and over, and that there's great benefit for you, for both parents and children.
And it's appropriate, we'd like to offer a kata.
Yeah. Sure. Yeah. Yeah, yeah.
Emmett, did you want it? Did you want it? Oh, sure.
Mary, the grand organizer of this.
Maybe the grand pass.
So, can you talk a little bit about the kata, maybe? About, what that might mean?
Oh, no? Okay, sorry, my confusion. Go ahead.
This is a thoroughly Tibetan tradition in one sense, that is to say the kata as an offering. We offer it as a gift, and usually the gift is received by offering the kata back and draping it over the neck and shoulders, and so there's some blessing, and again we're talking about connection here. In fact, it's not unique in the sense that we offer each other things all the time. So the only thing that's unique is the method of using a scarf, like a ceremonial scarf like this. And when Rinpoche is here, I hope you can all come to that. And the children also, it'd be nice if they could come. There'll be an opportunity there to offer a kata. If not publicly, then right here probably. So then you could come and each of you could offer a kata to him at that time. That'd be a very nice effect.
They could even bring the one that they got today and do that. couldn't
That's
they?
right. That's right. Yeah,
So it's kind of special. It's like a little present.
yeah. So the ceremony is done, and now we have many years to continue nurturing our connection with each other. Anything else that any of you would like to say, or
I'd like to say thank you to Mary and her children and their parents.
yeah,
The small involvement I've had with the children's program has just been so heart-opening. So thank you.
And I would encourage people to, consider coming up some Sunday, maybe mainly in the first hour to share a story. It's, we're trying to involve other members in that way, cause it's kind of an easy way to connect with somebody, just read a story and sort of everything else sort of unfolds behind that. And the reason why, I've decided with, after I talked to my teacher this summer, I asked him how's the best way to share the Dharma with children, and Trungpa Rinpoche said, tell them stories about the Buddha and other great beings. So when you're telling the story, a Dharma story or a similar Dharma-like story, you're connecting with a great teacher, I think, too, because we're following his instructions.
Sally, yeah.
I would just like to acknowledge another person who made the children's program work for years, and that's Carolyn Peck.
Oh, yeah.
I'd like to acknowledge Emmett.
Endured years.
And Melinda worked with the children's program before that.
And Susan Deasy.
And Cynthia, she's not here. Some of the more people too.
And we can all thank Julia King tomorrow.
That's right.
Yep.
She was the
Julia.
beginner.
And when you hear the pitter patter of their little feet upstairs,
We
just
can thank
remember,
them.
it's just another sound.
Yeah.
We're happy to hear it.
Another moment for practice.
Yeah, there you go.
What?
You have the cards?
I do have cards. The question is where
What would be the best place to do
would you
that?
arrange this? I mean, if this was the White House, we'd have it all set up.
I know.
Folding table right back there.
Table back there.
Table back there.
And
There you
there's,
go.
snacks and tea in the kitchen.
Yep, and I'll do some cider and other things.
Thank you, Mary.
You're welcome.
It just
This is
came
really
around
great.
my